Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first fully virtual International Women's Day celebration brought to us by the Women Techmakers and Google Developer Groups in the Philippines. So, I'm Josan. I'm a UI/UX engineer and a Women Techmakers ambassador. My personal advocacy is teaching young girls to code and encouraging women to pursue courses and careers in science, technology, and engineering. So, before I begin my session, I'd like to ask everyone what's the best designed product or service that you've used this past year or in your entire life? You can scan the QR code and enter anything like Uber, Food Panda, Switch, pour over coffee maker, coffee dripper, French press, masyadong halata, right? Or Leatherman, multi-tool, anything that you think the best design product or service that you've used in the past year or your entire life. So, and before ending my session today, I will also share with you the best design product that I have tried in my life that truly satisfied my needs. So I'll wait for your answers here and check it out later. So, anyway, today I'll be sharing with you my personal take on design thinking. And I'm pretty sure that many of you might have already heard about it, tried it, and used it at work to improve the quality of your product, whether it's for a website, an app, a service, or even a physical product. There was actually a time that whenever I heard the term design thinking, the first words that would come to my mind were process, tool, trend, jargon, and 3M post-its. But I had so many realizations since the first time I was exposed to design thinking. So for the next few minutes, let's rethink design thinking. Let's do it differently and begin with thinking. And I'd like to share one of my favorite quotes from my favorite astrophysicist, Neil deGrasse Tyson. He said, kids are born scientists. An adult scientist is a kid who never grew up. As kids, we were naturally curious about the world in general. Our questions were never ending. We'd pick up anything, play with it, put it in our mouths until we get bored or our parents notice that something is going on. But, well, as a usual Asian parent, my mom had a special weapon of choice. Well, what was your mom or dad's special weapon? So, back in the day, there were so many to choose from: clothes hanger, belt, feather duster, back scratcher, the most famous durable walis from Baguio, and more. So, for my mom's special weapon of choice was the TV antenna. So, before the LED, LCD, plasma TVs that we have now, we had a TV that needed an antenna so that channels would be clear to watch. So if the antenna is broken, you can't watch TV at all. So all of us in the household or all of our mayaya, my mom or my aunt couldn't watch the telenovelas. And then they got mad at me. Anyway, this all happened because I broke the TV antenna because I wanted to learn how the TV works. I even wanted to get the screwdrivers and open up the TV itself to check the inside and see how it actually works. There were a lot of times that I was reprimanded because I was a very curious child. I remember opening up the fridge, got an uncooked egg, and broke it. Well, if my yayas told me that the egg fell because of gravity, I could have learned about science. And because the egg broke, that was supposedly going to be a chick or chicken in the future, I could have learned biology. But of course, I can't be curious because the people around me didn't want me to break things. I was taught not to commit mistakes. I was taught to answer questions. And I I probably or you also probably spent half of my life being taught how to answer questions rather than forming the right questions to ask. I was frustrated that I'm so bad at written exams. I would just pass because there's an oral or a practical exam. So in school, we were taught to think convergently. This means that we were taught to take the best out of an available set of choices and to converge on that choice and execute. We were actually incentivized to remember things from memory. And I personally think that when you answer the first thing that comes to your mind, that is just a knee jerk reaction or spur of the moment. It's just remembering and not thinking. So, what design thinking does is to encourage us to think divergently and perhaps to create new choices that haven't even existed before. And then apply those ideas for apply those ideas to to the problem that you're trying to solve or the challenge. But do we actually really spend time thinking divergently? I believe that thinking requires time, patience, understanding, and empathy. So I'd like to share two quotes from Einstein that we can ponder upon. First is that we can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. So, if we want to get different results than what we are getting, we have to try different approaches. So, now let's go to design and design thinking. Well, it actually took me a while. It kind of really took me a while to realize what design truly meant. So, when I was about to enter college, I didn't really know which course to take and just told our guidance counselor that I'll just choose whatever course that they think my grades would match best. So I ended up spending an entire semester taking up accountancy. So when I was about to enroll for the second semester, I told my mom that I don't think I belong there. She then told me that I won't be able to graduate on time and I had to start over again. And if that's the case, she won't pay for my tuition. If I continuously shift courses through the years. Well, I felt so threatened not to be able to finish college. So I tried thinking about getting a part-time job that I can do. So when one of my friends was looking for a graphics and layout artist, I took the job even though I wasn't really as confident. I mean, I can learn and I could definitely it could definitely help me at least pay for my tuition down payment. And so I confidently told my mom, "Mom, I enrolled in computer science and I paid for my tuition." So my mom was now trusting of me and felt that I was a responsible child after all. I became more and more curious about design, trying out web design, then motion graphics animation. But I really felt that I just did those because I needed money. Of course, we all need money. And not because I really love doing it. Eventually, I ended up doing front end development and user interface design after graduation. And then after a few years working, I realized that there was more to design than how things look like. I was designing websites and applications, concentrating purely on how good it looks on the screen for me, but not actually thinking of the user. I started to dig more and started learning about user experience. And then finally, maybe this was truly where I wanted to be, designing with a purpose. Steve Jobs famously said, most people make the mistake of thinking design is what it looks like. People think it's this veneer that the designers are handed this box and told, make it look good. That's not what that's not what we think design is. It's not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works. And Tim Brown, the CEO of IDEO, the design company that popularized the term design thinking, said that design thinking is a human centered approach to innovation that draws from designers' toolkit to integrate the needs of people, the possibilities of technology, and the requirements for business success. So I'd like to share another experience. I grew up with dogs, but last year I adopted a cat. I honestly don't know how to take care of a cat, and I have heard that they're so different from dogs. When dogs show their bellies, they want to be rubbed. So the first time that I saw my cat showing his belly, so that's my cat on the right. That's Artie, my cat. He's so adorable. He sleeps like that, and he sleeps with an open belly. So when I saw my cat showing his belly, I wanted to rub his belly immediately because my mental model of a dog's belly is equivalent to a tummy rub. But I was definitely wrong. I got bitten by my cat. It was all a trap. So when you see a cute cat doing that, showing his belly, don't touch the cat. It's a trap. It was so but well, it was so easy to pull from my memory that showing the belly is equivalent to tummy rub, not actually thinking that cats are different from dogs. This is the first phase of design thinking, knowing and empathizing with your customer. Knowing your customer. This time, my cat was my customer. He needed something else. He wanted playtime rather than a rub. So, it's sometimes so easy for us to think that what we think they need, but not actually think about them and what they actually need. And probably I hear a lot of people say, I need a website. I need an app. Let's build an app. When a lot of times a website or an app is not the solution or is not the solution yet that your users need. We sometimes tend to forget to paint a clear picture of our end users, the challenges they face, and what needs and expectations that we have to meet. We really have to be curious about their behavior. That brings me to the next phase of design thinking, which is defining the problem. So now, we know our user, we need to define a clear problem statement. So, what are the real challenges that they are facing? The problem statement sets out the specific challenge that we need to address, which will guide the entire design process. But but we have to somehow have an open mind that just because there was a change in users' behavior, they need something else. So, story time again. When the pandemic hit and a series of lockdowns happened, it seemed like everything stopped. Consumer behavior changed. But the need didn't actually change. But what changed really was how to satisfy that need. The need to travel did not change, but how to satisfy that did. So when sea and air travel went down, land travel went up. The need to eat sangyupsal or ramen did not change. We still wanted sangyupsal and ramen, but we can sangyup and ramen at home now. So our needs did not actually change. We just need to be creative somehow and think of ideas on how we can solve that challenge, which is the next phase of design thinking, ideation. There's so much innovation that can be done in this disrupted world today. Aim to come up with as many ideas and potential solutions as possible. Think outside the box and explore new angles. By focusing on quantity of ideas rather than quality, we're more likely to free our mind and stumble upon real innovation. So, based on what we've learned in the empathize phase, we should have been able to hold several ideation sessions with a variety of our different stakeholders. And with our problem statement at hand, we can now come up with as many ideas as possible. And we can now take out those three M post-its and fill out our roles with it. Well, that's half meant, or you can skip the M post-its. So though now we can narrow them to a select few so we can create a prototype, the next phase of design thinking. This is where we develop a test model. This is a scaled down version of our product or concept that we want to test. This prototyping phase gives us something tangible that can be tested with our real users, which is very critical in maintaining our user centric approach. So, depending on what we're testing, prototypes can take various of forms, from basic paper models to interactive digital prototypes. So this video for one of the women that I really look up to, this is Immigrant Pierce. She's an aerodynamics engineer who engineered the Jaguar Land Rover. And this is probably how she made her prototype. And this is probably how I would wanted to break out the TV and maybe build my own TV. So she needed some tools. She needed the robot of her brother. She wanted to get the hammer, keeping everyone out. So parents are worried and they're wondering what's happening. What's the commotion about? And Imogen is breaking her brother's toy to create that first prototype of a car. So and now she now had a prototype of a car, super scaled down, super kid. And then after that, that's now Imogen Pierce, an aerodynamics engineer at Jaguar. So I mean, if we could going back to the first quote that I said about kids being scientists, let's all always be curious about our users. So, but you know, seriously, I talk about prototyping that depending on what we're testing, prototypes can take various forms. And but seriously, for car designers, because I shared about the car, their first level of prototype is a CAD design. And then they build clay models. So this is a clay model. If you can see the brown car type, it's a clay model. Why clay? I mean CAD model. We can 3D print it. They use clay because clay is malleable. So this is a small scale. Also, what they do, they so for cars, first they have the CAD model. After the CAD model, what they do is that they create this small scale, small case cars, and then the one with true to the size. They specifically use clay because clay is malleable so that they can test the aerodynamics of the car. So you can see a woman engineer is trying to test the aerodynamics of car. So when creating prototypes, have a clear goal in mind. Know exactly what your prototype know exactly what you want your prototype to represent, and therefore test, which is the fifth phase of design thinking. Well, we should test our prototypes on real users. The testing phase enables us to see where a prototype works well and where it needs improving. Because on user feedback, we can make changes and improvements before spending so much time and money developing and or implementing our solution. We could run user testing sessions wherein we observe our target users as they interact with our prototype. We may also have gathered verbal feedback. So, with everything we've learned from the testing phase, we can surely make changes to our design or come up with a completely new idea altogether. I mean, pivot or persevere. And remember that we should always be continuously improving, iterating over and over again. Design thinking is focusing on our user, building to think, prototyping fast, starting the movement, asking the right questions, and cultivating collaboration. Becoming design thinkers will help us remain relevant and thrive in this changing world and the uncertain future. I believe that design thinking is not just a process and a tool for innovation, but it's actually a mindset that focuses on how we look at the challenges around us at work and in our daily lives. I mean, have you ever been in a position where you felt stuck, not sure where to go, and have any idea at all about what to do with life? Well, we could design our lives. So, your life is a never ending product cycle with only one customer. That is you. You are the customer, you are the designer, and you are the only stakeholder. You decide what, when, and why you do things. We can design our lives to make better choices. Design is about solving problems. And in this case, you are solving your own problem. How should we invest our time? How we should achieve our dreams? So, design thinking can help you choose between options and maximize the outcome of your time and effort. So, let's do empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. So, first, we have to understand ourselves. Uh, as we are trying to design our life, we have to understand our own behavior, motivations, and pain points. As in, we are our customers. So, if we understand ourselves better, we can then focus on things. To do th- and to do this, we have to simply compare our current condition and the ideal life that we would want. And so, if we have that, we can think, where should I go 5 years from now? I'm here and I want to be there. If that's the challenge, then maybe we can get started in thinking about ways on getting there. So now, with our goal for the next 5 years, what we want to do, post it for the next 5 years, right? So, so now we all have those options. We can then narrow it out. Now, prototyping your choices. And then I remembered that I might have prototype that maybe I can belong in accountancy. But that's like one semester prototyping if I can be an accountant in the future. But well, I went into technology. So that's something like you prototype, maybe 1 month trying out something new, learning something new. And if you think that you belong or if you think that maybe this is the right thing for me, maybe this is the one. So you can test it out. So and then if you've tested out, reevaluate your life. After a month or after the time that you've tried it, either you've learned something, a thing or two, put it down, write it down. And then if it's aligned to your 5 year goal, and then go. So imagine that we could actually design our life. And if you're stuck, design thinking. Like, where am I? Where do I want to go? So it's already ingrained in your life that if because really think that design thinking is thinking. It requires time. It lets us stop, look, and listen. So this is design thinking as a way of life. So I think that's it for my design thinking. So anyway, I'd like to check out what you wrote. Oh, Spotify. Okay, Spotify one. Food Panda next, Shopee. Of course, mga gold and platinum. Shopee users. Slack. Yes, Slack and Grab. Beyond Compare, doc sheet forms. But Spotify. So for me, so I'd like to share I promise to share the best design product for me, and probably a lot of people have seen me using it. So my real problem is that before, when I do my presentations, in a live audience, it's it's hard for me because I do wearables and a lot of microcontrollers. So I need my two hands. And in order for me to use my two hands, I can't hold a clicker on my right hand. I need to be able to use my two hands, like on this video, and have my two hands and be functional, but at the same time, go on with my screen. So the bracelet the guy is wearing is this one. So this is probably the best design product for me that really satisfied my needs. And I miss wearing this, and I miss going to conferences, not being like this virtual. So for me, this is the best design product for me. But now I'll think of another product during the pandemic because I can't use this one unless I do some experiments with it. So anyway, it's such a great pleasure to be with everyone today. I hope I've been able to get through you through this screen somehow. So, I'd like to thank you, everyone. Thank you for inviting me here.